Welcome to 1000 Days Sober Trigger Clinic. My name is Lee Davey. I am not an alcoholic. I refuse to be anonymous. I am someone that doesn't drink alcohol and spend every waking moment of my life helping other people do the same. Like right now. How is everybody diddling and doing? I hope you're doing okay. I hope everybody can hear me okay. I just had a new wonderful set of wireless headphones, but I'm hoping that it's not picking up this microphone. It's actually picking up my Samsung Media mic. So let me know if you can't hear me. And if you're just watching an hour of me, just let me know. Stella, can you hear me okay? Let me know if you can hear me okay, because I'm trying a new pair of headphones. Just type in the box there, yes, Lee, I can hear you, or no, Lee, I can't. While Stella is doing that, I'm just going to pretend that you can hear me. Today we're going to be talking about a trigger that Striver Tony wrote on the Strive forum, and it's called the garden bar trigger, right? Oh, good. Yeah, thank you, Stella. So what Tony did with this trigger is really important, okay? So Tony didn't just write out his trigger, which in itself is fantastic because, hey, Tina, nice to see you. The reason that we are writing out our triggers in 1000 Days Sober is processing, right? Like, we are understanding that really what this drinking or this drugging or this smoking battle is all about is this fight in our head with resistance, okay? So it's almost like resistance owns that playground. Like, if you use a sporting analogy, if Man United had to play against Liverpool and Man United play at Old Trafford, and they're kind of roughly the same in quality, which is probably a bad example because Liverpool are a lot better than Manchester United. But let's say they've got the same quality. Then Manchester United are going to have their home advantage, right? They're going to be more used to it. They're going to be used to the change rooms, the ritual. They're going to be more used to it. They're going to have the crowd backing them. So you always have this home side or home court advantage. If you're going to do your processing inside your mind, then resistance is going to have the home court advantage. And that's not very smart now, is it? Unless we're suffering from extreme outcome resistance, in which case we actually do want to drink, then it is smart to have that battle inside our head. So always try to do your processing outwardly, whether like this, doing videos and then just deleting them or posting them on social media, or writing about it, or going on some apps like we use at 1000 Days Sober, like Marco Polo and Spoonie Guts on there. But it's really important to outwardly process. And that's what Tony did on Strive in the trigger section. He wrote about his trigger. But then he did something much better than that. And you should all take this on board. He flipped it. He said, this is my trigger, but let's flip this around and look at this through a different lens, a different rational, logical lens here, which we need very often to beat addiction. We're going to need to step into the emotional aspect of it. We're going to need to step into the spiritual aspect of it. But there is also a rational and logical aspect of it that we need to break down and play around with, right? So here is his trigger. So basically Tony, here's a setup, is Tony came onto Marco Polo, our video recording app, one night and said, I've had a bit of a tough day, but I didn't drink today. Like, thumbs up, you know? And then I went onto him and said, hey, Tone, like, can you expand a little bit more when you're giving us your feedback on Marco Polo? Like, you know, what is it about today that was tough for you? What trigger did you have to overcome? When you come on and you say everything is okay today, I'm not drinking. Well, what was it about the day that led you to the decision to not drink? Isn't that worth exploring? Or if you say, I drank tonight, like, did you have the courage and the vulnerability to come on and say, yeah, I struggled today? In the same way that you'll come on when you were a success. And why did we struggle today? And is there anything we could do as a group to help you, right? Really, really important. So he then went on to Strive and then he wrote this out. So writing your triggers out on Strive is much better than doing them on Marco Polo, for example. So he basically said that what had happened was he had been thinking about his friend who had built a bar in his garden. Obviously, well, not obviously, let's presume that it was related to COVID and the fact that nobody's going to the pub these days, they're all drinking around the house. So he's actually created this bar, right? So all his mates can come round the bar and have a laugh. And he said that the bar is superb, right? And he was getting triggered by thinking that he wouldn't be able to drink at that bar. And that was making him sad, but he didn't drink. But I was making him sad thinking about it. So this is what Tony wrote. Firstly, the bar is superb. It's been finished very well, and looks like any bar would in a pub. My thoughts were that I would not be sharing this bar. It's like the most beautiful woman in the world that's offering you a regular night out with her and her friends, and I'm walking away from it. There is a physical pain in my heart when I think I won't be in that bar drinking, sharing stories, and taking the piss. Okay? Now, the part, we don't have to dissect this because Tony does a good job at dissecting it in his flip. And then we will dissect Tony's flip. But there is one thing that I want to take out of this and accentuate. And that's that Tony says, there is a physical pain in my heart when I think I won't be in that bar drinking. Why is that important? He's feeling physical discomfort over thinking that he will not be hanging around with his mates. It's not about the bar, right? We all can see that. It's not about the bar. Tony is not interested or having a physical pain about thinking that he's not going to be able to sit around the most beautiful bar in the world. Tony's feeling physical pain because he won't be able to be near his friends and to interact with his friends like he has done for 20, 30 years, right? And why that's important is it allows us to really step up our empathy when we're talking to Tony, all right? And I want you to think about this as a mother, as a father, as a son, as a daughter, who is in a relationship with somebody that is suffering from addiction. And I want you to think and reflect on how much empathy we have with them when they are sharing their stories of addiction, right? I know for me and my color code personality type, which is a red, it's very difficult. It's not my normal modus operandi to just delve straight into empathy and compassion. It's to find solutions to people's problems. So, stepping into empathy is quite challenging for me. But when someone says there is a physical pain in my heart, that is like a real trigger to me. That's like, oh, this person really needs my attention right now because they're really struggling about this issue. So I just wanted to draw on that, right? So now moving on to Tony's flip. And Stella and Tina, just ask any questions at any time in the chat and I'll stop and answer them. Tony said, I can be in that bar. I really, really can be in that bar. I can be in that bar and I can be sober. And I can be funny. And I can be interesting to be around when I'm sober. I'll say that again. I can be in that bar. I really can be in it. I can be in it and I can be sober. I can be funny and interesting to be around when I'm sober. Okay? So let's break. That's wonderful that Tony said that. And he has to feel that. Like, you can't just write it. You have to feel it and believe it. So if I was working with Tony on this, I'd be like, okay, how much do you believe that out of 10? And we're looking for a 10 out of 10, And if I was an expert in somatic healing, which I'm not, but we do have those experts at 1000 Days Sober, I would really getting inside his body and feeling that. Like, yeah, I can be in that bar. I really can be in that bar, right? And be sober and be funny and interesting to be around when I'm sober, right? That, I think, is really important. I can be in that bar. Yes, he can be in that bar. I really can be in it. Yeah, he can. I can be in it and be sober. Yes, Tony, you can be in it and you can be sober. I can be funny and interesting to be around when I'm sober. That's the needle across the record. I can be funny and interesting to be around when I am sober. Right. Who are we funny? What does it mean to be funny and interesting? There's an element of it, right? Isn't there? That if we just take funny and isolate funny, there's an element of it that when we're funny, we feel happy ourselves, right? So being humorous and joyful fills us with energy. So there is that personal aspect of it. But without a shadow of a doubt, there's also an aspect of it that is socialization, right? So being funny and humorizing and interesting to be around is a dynamic that means there's more than one person. It's not just me. Okay. So I can be funny and interesting to be around when I'm sober. It needs further investigation because we don't know if that's true. Right. So I'll give you an example. When I stopped drinking alcohol, I thought I could be funny and interesting around when I was sober, but that's not true when everyone around me is drunk. Because if everybody around me is drunk, then they're going to be very self-centered and really completely disinterested in what I'm doing or what I'm saying. They're just not. Think about humor at its most beautiful aspect. It's all in the nuance. Humor is about nuance. How the fuck are you going to spot nuance when you're pissed or you're slowly getting pissed? You're not, right? So there's an element of this is that we really want to be funny. Like Tony wants to be funny and interesting around when he's sober. Like it's a really important aspect of this. Not just his trigger, but I know because I know Tony because he's been a striver for a long time, right? But it is an assumption that we are going to be funny and interesting to be with because we are fortune telling a little bit and popping ourselves in other people's minds that they will find us funny and interesting. And I think this lies one of the biggest problems here is that we're worried about what other people will think about us. We need them to find us funny and interesting when the truth of the matter is they probably won't. They probably will be disinterested in us. And very likely, as we see them start to change and start to get more drunk, we will change and start to become more withdrawn. And I think that is just the truth of the matter. It is really difficult and challenging to continue to be funny and try to be interesting and drive interesting conversation when the person who is with you is choosing alcohol over you. It's really difficult to maintain that dynamic. So just think about that. And why this is important, I'm drilling into it, is because when you're doing your triggers, I want you to get to the edges of them. I want you to look at the edge and be like, right, where in this fucking edge do I need to push and learn more about myself? What is really fucking going on here, right? So Tony says, I can enjoy my own company when I'm sober. And again, I'm asking the question, can you? Can you really enjoy your own company when you're sober? Like in this moment. So yeah, can we enjoy our own company when we're sober? Yeah, of course we can. Can we enjoy our own company when we're sober at the bar? Yes. But we're not there to be within our own company, really, are we? Like, if we go to the bar to sit on our own and reflect, then yeah, we're there to be in our own company. But if we go to the bar because we've been invited there and there's like 8 or 9 people, then we're in the company of other people, right? So it then becomes, it's not about me. So this isn't about Tony. Like, do I enjoy my company? It's irrelevant. What's really going on here is whether or not I will enjoy the company of the other people around the bar. And most importantly, I think what screams out to me is this: do they enjoy being around Tony? Okay? So there's a certain element here of inside out being, which is like really important, right? I can enjoy my own company. It's a solid statement, inside out. I love myself. I think that I'm a beautiful human being that deserves to be on this planet. I enjoy my own company, inside out, amazing. Okay? But there's also an outside in element, like an external validation element here, right? It's like, I can enjoy my own company when I am sober. Yeah, but you're not going to be alone, are you? You're going to be with other people. And we can't look at this in a vacuum because that's not this trigger. This trigger involves people around a bar drinking, right? So again, just think about that. Tony says, I can leave a bar when I get bored of the conversation. A good, powerful way of saying it, right? I can leave the bar when I get bored of the conversation. Okay? My question to Tony would be, can you? Can you leave the bar when you get bored of the conversation? What goes on for you when you consider leaving the bar? What has happened in the past when you've left? Right? Because very often it's easier for us to stay and it's easier for us to drink than it is to leave, right? So what is it about that? If we really know that we can leave the bar when we get bored of the conversation, then we don't have a problem. Because we have a cast iron boundary in our mind that says, hey, when I'm bored, I can leave, right? And it is likely, but not like 100% cast iron sure, that the more people drink, the more bored we're going to become, or certainly the more uncomfortable we're going to become. Unless we manage to hook ourselves onto somebody, one of these freaks, and I've got a few in my life, who are able to drink as much as they like, and nothing changes. Like, you're never going to get deep conversation out of them, but nothing changes. They just kind of like are the same person they are, right? But in generally, you've got to ask yourself, can I leave the bar when I get bored of the conversation? Because if you can, great. But very often we won't be able to. And if we can't, that's the work. So if you think about triggers as doing the work, there's different kind of layers of it, isn't there? You can go deeper by saying, I actually had a real problem last night leaving the bar. One of the modules we have in 1000 Days Sober, the Strive Method for Addictions, in the ready phase, is experimentation. So we ask people to go into these dynamics and experiment. And by experimenting, you're sober and you're saying to yourself, I'm going to leave. What's coming up for me now? What's coming up for me? You know, and it could be that you now have to go around and shake everybody's hand and hug them and say goodbye. And they're all going to say, oh, don't fucking go. Don't be a boring fucker. What's the matter with you? Etc., etc., etc. You're feeling anxiety. And then you can say to yourself, well, why am I feeling anxiety? Where is that coming from? Like, is it coming from an external need for approval? Do I approve of myself? What the fuck's going on here? Right? This is the deeper work of understanding why we drink alcohol, right? So I just wanted to put that there. But that bar, he says, that social interaction can still be mine. I would just be holding a different drink. And I touched upon this earlier on. Social interaction isn't Tony's because it's social. So social means there's other elements in it. So there's other dynamics that we need to be aware of here. Like, if we are interacting with somebody else at the bar who's lit and they're not present with us, then are we really getting social interaction out of that situation? I know from personal experience that when I'm with people who are lit, either through drugs or drinking, that they're not present for me, so I'm not getting the social interaction that I want. Okay? It's not happens all the case. I've been with people who've been stoned, and I kind of like being with them sometimes. You might like being around some people who are drunk sometimes. But for me, when it comes to like really enjoy myself on a night out, I don't want that, right? And that's something you've got to think about yourself. Tony then goes on, so thoughts are really about changing the dynamic and being happy in my own skin when I do. Right, so he's onto it, isn't he? He's already thinking to himself, I need to be happy in my own skin. That is inside out thinking. Okay, or as Carol Dweck says in her book, Mindset, fixed mindset. Like, I have to be happy in my own skin, right? Maybe that bar is not going to be the right environment for me right now, he asks. Maybe it is. If I can re-engineer it to be more social, more about social interaction and clarity. Now, a couple of things that I want to say on that. One is about control. So we can only control and change ourselves, right? In this environment. We, as people are drinking around us, we can't change the flow of it. We can lead and we can use our personality to try to do that, right? So we can use our personality to make a dour, melancholy moment really happy. But I don't think it's a really good strategy, particularly if everybody around us is drinking. And what I mean by not a good strategy, Tony says, maybe I can re-engineer it to be more about social interaction and clarity. In a way, that's admitting that the experience isn't about social intention and interaction and isn't about clarity. So then you, rather than re-engineer it, you've got to ask yourself, why am I in that situation? Why am I in a situation that isn't, why have I come to this place to interact socially and to go deep and have clarity, knowing it doesn't exist? Why am I there? And Tony understands why he's there a bit later on, but I want you to ask yourself that question now, because you're probably thinking about a similar situation that you've been in. And then he says, maybe the bar is not the right environment for me right now. Okay, so I want to say a quote that comes from one of my mentors. Is change doesn't take time, it takes courage. So the Strive method for addictions and the Strive method for relationships are set up for long-term growth, learning, education, philosophy, because addiction can take time. And without a doubt, because of the story that's out there about addiction being this uncomfortable, horrible monster, we buy into it that it's going to take a long amount of time. So it's important that 1000 Days Sober is set up for that. But I read a book and quit. I read a fucking book and quit alcohol. I read a book and stopped smoking. Two of the most addictive drugs in the world. Why? Because I had the fucking courage to do what was necessary in order to put that cigarette out and never want another one. And to put that pint glass down and never want to pick it up again. Okay? So when it comes to like, can I go to that bar or not? It depends if you have courage to do the work. It depends if you have the courage when you're in that bar to not drink. It depends if you have the courage to leave that bar when it gets boring. It depends if you have the courage to look in the face and say, what the fuck am I doing here? And what does it mean? What am I seeking here? And then when you get to the truth, making your action around that. So I just want to put that in there, that you don't need time to go to the pub. You just need courage. And then while you're there, be honest and say, what the fuck am I here for? Well, let's be honest. Like, I was drinking for 35 years. I got to the age of 35, drinking for 20 of them, going to the pub all the time, thinking the pub was my church, like my home. And it wasn't until I was 35 that I was like, well, what the fuck am I here for? I'm here for my mates. Are you really? Are you really there for your mates? Where are my mates now? Right? I wasn't there for my mates at all. I was there because people like us do things like this. We just go to the pub. That's what we do. We tell ourselves that is our entertainment. That is where we get our social interaction. And if we went to the pub and we played poker or we played chess or we played darts or we watched the football and we didn't mindlessly numb ourselves by drinking alcohol, then that would be perfectly okay. And that would be normal. But if we're going to the pub to drink, I recently put a post on Facebook, my personal Facebook page. The last time I put a post about drinking alcohol on my personal Facebook page, a friend of mine got angry and challenged me. And I didn't like it. So I come off Facebook, talking fucking years ago now, maybe 5 years, maybe longer. In doing the work that I've been doing recently and becoming more comfortable in my own skin and stopping making people victims, I decided to post on Facebook again recently, my personal Facebook page. And guess what happened with my first post? An old friend of mine had a go at me, basically intimated that keyboard warriors like me actually cause more harm than the people who are drinking. He said, I have got no problem drinking. I don't do any harm to anybody. And I love going out drinking and socializing. And I said to him, well, why do you have to drink alcohol to socialize? And I haven't seen the latest comment, but he found it really difficult to answer that question. Why do you find that you need to drink alcohol to socialize? That's a very, very confronting question, because you have to be really vulnerable and you have to ask yourself, well, what the fuck? Like, why do I have to drink alcohol to socialize? Can I just be there and not drink alcohol? What's going on? So I just wanted to share that. Other thoughts, Tony says. Am I going to be invited to the bar when I'm not drinking? Am I going to be happy in a bar when I'm not drinking? Am I going to be bored at the bar? Now, I love this now, because now Tony's getting inquisitive. He's digging deeper, right? And hopefully he answers his own questions, right? He answers his own questions, and then he produces more questions from those answers. And you keep going and going and going and going and going. There's this strategy that came out of Toyota, when Toyota were going through their massive growth. I can't remember the decade. And some people from MIT went over there to find out what they were doing so well. And they basically bundled up their techniques and called it lean practices. And one of the tools in lean was 5 whys, was to ask, when you have a problem statement, I'm drinking alcohol, I don't know why, or I am struggling because I want to drink alcohol because I want to go to this bar. It's just ask yourself why 5 times. Every time you give your answer, ask why again. And you go deeper than 5. What you're doing is you're getting to the root cause of the problem, which is what all trigger analysis is about. Is getting to the root cause of the problem and dealing with the root, not dealing with like your symptoms. So what Tony's doing it by asking these questions is he's getting there, right? So what I would invite Tony to think about is, like, where are these questions coming from? Where is this uncomfortableness coming from? it's generally going to come from three areas: seeking approval or not feeling approved of, not feeling secure, and not feeling in control. So only Tony can answer this, right? But it looks like an approval issue. It looks like an approval issue. Like, I'm worried if I will approve of myself, and I'm worried if my friends will approve of me and my new behavior. And then that bleeds in and makes him feel insecure. So like there's no security being around people who are going to drink because he doesn't know what's going to happen. So then he will try to control the situation by making it more about social interaction and clarity, right? But it comes from a need to be approved of, which then you need to ask yourself, why do I need the approval of other people? Which is deeper work, right? Which is work with people like Lisa and people like Vinny at 1000 Days Sober. It's like, hey, I need to book a session with you because I've realized that I'm seeking external validation to assert my self-worth, and it's causing me to drink, and I need to change that. Okay, so think about that. I got some posts here. Let's just have a look. Stella, our whole life has been told to associate gathering with friends as drink time. Yeah, so what Stella is saying is, yeah, everything's about drinking. I mean, there used to be a time, Stella, when I was younger, when my mum, people would come around my mum's house all the time and drink tea. But I would say for the last 10 years of me being in that household, nobody came around for a cup of tea. Everybody just met at the pub. But there definitely was a time where my mum would do that. For me, in my life, the only place we as mates hung out outside of playing sport was in the pub. Now I think with like Starbucks and stuff, we have a different alternative. Someone had a beautiful suggestion the other day that you turn libraries and you leave libraries open 24 hours so people can hang out. It does mean we have to make massive change in terms of how we're feeling. Tina says, COVID has given me the chance to realize that I'm not missing going to the pub. I'm not missing the people I used to drink with. I now meet with people who mean something to me, and we go for walks. I'll catch up for a cuppa. I think, you know what, Tina? I think you make an amazing point there. It's because here's the thing. It's because we are in lockdown or semi-lockdown or wherever we are in the world, we really have to trust who we hang out with, right? From a health perspective. So we have to say to ourselves, I need to go out and socialize, otherwise I'm going to go crazy. So I'm only going to pick these people because I trust that they are looking after themselves. Okay? Why aren't we doing this in our life all the time? Why aren't we saying to ourselves in the pub, who do I trust? Who do I trust to hang out with? Who do I trust that I can go deep with? Who could I trust that I could say to them, do you know, today I got triggered and nearly drank alcohol because I was worrying about going to a bar with you and the boys? Who can I trust that isn't going to turn around and say, you fucking pussy? Or what's the matter with you? There's no problem with you drinking. Like, who can we trust is going to go, whoa, I had no idea that alcohol was having that kind of effect on you. Tell me more about it. Like, who can we trust? Aren't those the people we're after? But we're not asking that question. So thanks for pointing that out. I really appreciate it. Tony says, a lot of the time, being in a normal pub is only tolerable when I'm drinking. The time to go button works when I'm sober. It's faulty when I'm under the influence. Which, again, goes back to that experimentation of why is leaving a problem. And if we know that being in a normal pub is only tolerable when I'm drinking and we don't want to drink, why are we going to the pub? Really important questions to ask ourselves, you know? So my overriding thought, says Tony, is my mate has created a beautiful escape area. However, the very purpose of that area is to escape reality, not something he will be aware of, but still it is the truth. He has created this with the intention of sharing it with others, myself included, only I'm going to be turning down, or should I be, or I should be, the invite, certainly the one to drink in it. You know, like, I don't think, I mean, I'm just going to put like, I don't think this guy's created a bar for his mates. Like, I just want to put that out there. Obviously, I don't know. It's a massive assumption. But I would say anyone who's creating a bar in their garden is creating it so they can attract people around for the sole purpose of providing themselves with companionship. So I don't think that this is I don't think that this is an altruistic act. I think it's an act of fuck. I can't go to the pub, so I can't like hang out with people, and that's really going to be a problem for me. So I'm going to create a bar, and hopefully everyone will come to me, so I won't be lonely. Right. So I think that's what I'm thinking in this. The other thing I wanted just to accentuate in Tony's paragraph here is something that we cover in the thought phase of the Strive method for addictions, and that is how we talk to ourselves. So language of change is really important, and it builds on the work of Alan Zukov. So there are two types of ways that we can talk to ourselves when we're going through addiction, and that's sustained talk and change talk. So change talk is we're talking in a way that we're going to change, and sustained talk is we're talking in a way that sustains our addiction or our behavior or whatever. So Tony says, my overriding thought is my mate has created a beautiful escape area. However, the very purpose of that area is to escape reality, and it's not something he will be aware of, but still it is the truth. That sounds like positive change talk to me, because Tony's like really super aware about what's going on, okay? He has created this with the intention of sharing it with others, myself included. I think that slips a little bit into sustained talk, because we're now starting to think, this guy shared it with me, so I think I need to go there, right? So a little bit of sustained talk there, I think, but not too clear cut. But this one is, only I am going to be turning it down. Woohoo! That's change talk. I'm going to be turning this fucker down. Change talk. And then in brackets, or I should be. That's sustained talk. So think about what's going on in Tony's head. Yeah, I really need to stop drinking alcohol. I think so. Yeah, I'm not going to drink today. I hope I don't. Yeah, I'm not going to go around on my mate's bar tonight because it's just a fucking escape reality, and I don't want to escape reality. I don't think I want to escape reality. Maybe I don't. Maybe I do. I don't know. So what's happening, because of his choice of language internally, he's creating more cognitive dissonance and more ambivalence. Until we can quiet the ambivalence and the cognitive dissonance, we can't really change. And that's the work we do in the thought phase of the Strive method for addictions. And Tony hasn't gone through that phase yet. Tony is still in the stuck phase. And I don't think there's a parallel there. So in terms of like doing the actual work and the homework assignments in the stuck phase, and then doing the homework assignments in the thought phase, Tony hasn't made that leap yet. And I think there's a reason why he hasn't made that leap that isn't just around process resistance. And process resistance is I don't want to do the work. But maybe Tony doesn't want to do work because he's not ready quite yet to do that work, right? Because that work is work that's going to lead to him resolving his ambivalence. And that means he's going to drink or he's not going to drink. And that is a really confrontational thing to think about. Then Tony says, so therefore I have feelings of loneliness and disconnection surrounding this whole picture. And I'm like, bingo. Like, bingo. Right? I agree with him. Like, this screams of loneliness and disconnection. And don't forget, folks, you can be in a crowded room of friends and still feel lonely. And it's not even related to drinking alcohol. Alcohol actually masks the fact that you're lonely and disconnected. We're just with the wrong people. Maybe we're with the wrong people because we don't even know who we are yet, so we don't know who our new people should be. I just been on a coaching call with somebody, and my client said to me, like, are you where you want to be right now? And I said, well, physically, mentally, spiritually, I'm in the best shape I've ever been in my life, but I'm nowhere near where I want to be. And she said, well, where is that? And I said, I'm not quite sure yet, but I'm fucking enjoying myself getting there, right? So I think the loneliness and disconnection piece here for Tony is crucial. And when it comes to doing the work, in my opinion, the work is unraveling the ambivalence around loneliness and disconnection, not the ambivalence around drinking alcohol. Like, it's more about like, how can we get to a spot where we're wonderfully happy with ourselves? That yes, we need human beings in a anthropological sense, a biological sense, but we don't need them psychologically. We don't need them to like fix our problems and to grow our self-worth, right? So we're actually running another loneliness and connection workshop later this month. So keep your eye on Facebook and come and join that. It's really good. So he says, I think I see the picture of the bar as a decision point. Stick or twist. Stick, and I stay the same rut that I'm in now. Twist, and things will change. I know they will be unrecognizably better in 6 months to 12 months, but there is still doubt. The next 3 months will be full of emotion and doubt. Okay? I love this, and then there's a challenge that comes out in it. I love it because Tony's being really positive, right? He understands that this issue of loneliness and disconnection that he's unearthed himself. Remember that. He's unearthed himself by just flipping his trigger. That's how powerful this is, right? So those of you who are out there thinking, I don't want to pay Lee money for him to help me. I ain't got no money. You can do this yourself if you want. I did. You know, take you a long time and you'll make a lot of mistakes along the way, but you can do it yourself. Tony's seeing this himself by flipping this around. But there's one thing that I want to challenge him on. I know that they will be unrecognizably better in 6 months to 12 months, but there is no doubt the next 3 will be difficult. Okay? Things are going to change and things will be better in 6 to 12 months, unrecognizably. Now, whilst that's change talk, and that's really good, if I was coaching Tony privately, I would be asking him to rank how truthful he believes that statement is. Because if Tony was able to sink into his body and to feel what it would be like to be sober in the future and to really build on that visualization over a long, prolonged period of time, he would build the motivation to get there, because he would generate the confidence, because he would feel what it's like to be sober, and he would accentuate the importance because he's continually visualizing, saying, this is what I want. So the importance and the confidence would be high. So he would have the motivation to not even go to the bar, or go to the bar and not drink and it not to be a problem. He would have the motivation to not drink, but that's not present. That's not present. So it is going to be unrecognizably better in 6 to 12 months. I don't think that is a statement we can make because we don't know the future. And it doesn't appear like that visualization practice is as tip top as it could be. So that's an area that I would definitely be working on. Okay. And I want to talk about, like, we don't know the future. And it's sometimes when Tony's been moving towards that future where he feels overwhelmed. This was one of those moments, right? I feel overwhelmed. I don't know what to do right now. I feel like I should be drinking alcohol or whatever it is. That overwhelm is fear. That fear exists because you're on the cusp of doing something quite magnificent. And normally what happens when we feel overwhelmed and we're on the cusp of magnificence, we either expand into that magnificence or we contract into our path of least resistance. And this is why we get people who drink, don't drink, drink, don't drink, drink, don't drink. Because when we get overwhelmed, they contract and they stay on the same path. Whereas the people who go through the Strive method for addictions and change, when they hit their overwhelm, they expand. They're like, fucking hell, the whole world's caving in. Okay. And I'm picturing my 4-year-old now, Zia. This is what Zia does, right? She gets fucking really angry. And then I see her and she goes, okay. I can do this. I can do this. And she fucking calms herself down. And I'm in a flood of tears. Because to see a 4-year-old do that, I'm like, holy shit. Sometimes I can't do that. And I'm 45, right? She's developing that attribute because we all have that power within us, even when we're 4 years of age, right? Is when we reach overwhelm, we have a choice of expansion or contraction, okay? Going into the back end of what he's saying, he says, this is a journey of discovering yourself. Fucking boom, Tony. Boom, with a capital B-O-O-M. It is a journey of discovering yourself. Just been on a call with a client and we were making it all about them. I need to make them change and them change and them change and them change. And if they change and they change and she changes and he changes, I'll be all right, Jack. That ain't going to work. And by the way, we're really fucking angry and fucked up inside because everybody's trying to get us to change. So if it really feels fucked up and horrible for us, and we think people are out of integrity and trying to put a dog leash around us, and that's how it's making us feel, how dare we try to change everybody else? Where's our empathy and compassion born out of our own frustration? So for any of you who doesn't feel a sense of control and you feel like someone's controlling you, how does that feel? It feels fucking awful, right? So this journey is discovering yourself. Like the way we beat this is we focus on ourselves. Intrinsic motivation, okay? If you like yourself less after 6 months of sobriety and your life is less fulfilling, then you are totally free to return. Your mates will welcome back another boozer. So Tony said this is a journey of discovering yourself. If you like yourself less after 6 months of sobriety and your life is less fulfilling, then you are totally free to return. Your mates will welcome back another boozer. I think this is... Resistance wrote this paragraph. We start off fantastic. This is a journey of discovering yourself. Fucking boom, right? Change talk. But then we slip into massive sustained talk. Like I see a real red flag here. If I like myself less after 6 months, I could just drink again. And if I do, my mates will help me back. Think about that. If I don't like myself in 6 months, I'll just drink again and my friends will welcome me back. Where's the pain there? Where's the pain? Where's the pain of not actually attaining sobriety because we created such a pleasurable feeling of what it would be like? That's not present here. Where's the pain, that actually if I don't make this is going to be really fucking severe. Like I'm just going to be lonely and disconnected my entire life because actually I'm kind of like worried that these friends are not really providing me with the love and connection I need. Like, where's the pain? There's no pain here, right? So I often say this to people who work with me. Is your wife going to leave you? Are your kids going to leave you? Are you going to lose your job? What do you want to stop drinking for then? Well, I just don't think it's right. You need more of that to change this addiction. Right, so I think that's massive sustained talk, and it's what I call the setup, right? It's the setup. It's foreboding joy. It's a lack of vulnerability. It's a self-defense mechanism. It's basically saying, I don't want to fail. I don't want to fail. I'm not willing to go there. So what I'll do is I'll set up excuses. I'll set up an excuse. If I don't like myself, then I don't need to keep going, right? Again, it's linked to loneliness and connection. It's written by resistance. It's resistance telling you, this paragraph, let me say it again. If you like yourself less after 6 months of sobriety and your life is less fulfilling, then you are totally free to return. Your mates will welcome back another boozer. Is fucking training wheels on a bike. And you're never going to get those training wheels off. Because you've told resistance, it doesn't matter if I fail. It doesn't matter. I could just drink. Instead of saying, I am going to fail. And that is okay because I am going to make this. And this feeling about whether I'm going to like myself or not, that is in the work of the visualization. That is in the work of the visualization. Like if you're doing that work properly and you're feeling like, yeah, I feel healthy. I'm running fucking 10 miles. I'm doing yoga and meditating. I'm connecting with my wife. I'm running after my meaning and purpose. I'm going to bed. I'm sleeping 8 hours. I'm waking up and I'm feeling fucking rah, rah, rah. I fuck up, but then I'm able to do rupture and repair work. I've got all these people around me they're connected to me and don't drink. If you're feeling that all the time, what aspect of that is, yeah, and I might not like that. Like, fuck that. Like that, I'm not worried about that. It's a setup. It's a setup. This is all linked to, if I stop drinking and my friends don't like me, I will have no friends. And then, to get more friends, like the ones I want, I'm going to do, or have to do, a lot of very uncomfortable, painful things that make me suffer in order for me to make that happen. And I'm not willing to do that. So I'll fail so I can stick with the friends that I got. They got me this far. And I feel comfortable around them. we all know that it's like 7.5, 7.8 billion people in the world. The people who are your people could be just living around the corner. But if you're not willing to step into your power and be who you are on a consistent, regular basis, they're not even going to see you. They'll just see you with the mask and the armor on. And they'll be like, nah, I don't really like that person. I don't really jive with that person. Even worse, because you've got your mask on and your armor, the people who do jive with you are the fucking people you don't want to jive with you. But because you're so lonely and disconnected, you jive with them because you just want people around you. Right? This is really, really hard work. We haven't got a school playground anymore. There isn't a bell that goes off. We run outside, we pick a football up, we kick it around, and someone says to me, well, you're really good, you want to join our team? We're in a fucking health shop and there's a guy next to us and we're getting a good vibe off him, and we say to him, I know this is a bit odd, but do you mind if I have your number? I'd like to hang out with you. Like, how uncomfortable is that for a man who's been drinking for 40 years and he's only just come out of the Matrix, right? Let's be honest, like, it's emasculating. The thought is emasculating. I'm not allowed to ask a guy for a number. I'm not allowed to ask a guy if I can hang out with him. And then think about romanticism and think about relationships and the rules around that. Am I, as a man who is married to Liza, allowed to connect with a very beautiful, amazing woman and then be friends with her? There's a lot of stuff around that as well, right? Let's just be honest. There would be. You'd have to be next level shit thinking to be, well, that's okay. That's okay. Lee's only into her because, like, she's like into yoni eggs and, tarot cards and stuff. Like, let's be honest, right? The rules that we have to abide by, they're not fucking great. And it takes some kind of superpower for us to break them down. But we have those powers within us. And it all comes around trust and security with ourselves, right? So I just wanted to say that. What else did I put here? Yeah, just pointing out the contradictions that are going on in Tony's mind at the moment as he's going through this ambivalence is, he said earlier on, I know I will be recognizably better in 6 months, earlier on, didn't he? And here he's saying, well, if I don't like myself in 6 months, I'll just start drinking again, right? It's that contradiction. And that contradiction is what we smash in the thought phase of the Strive method for addictions and the Strive method for relationships. Like, we'll have ambivalence around doing the work we need to do to be closer to our partner. And we need to do that same work, right? It is so difficult to try to change when in our mind we don't have all this, all the cards stacked in our favor, right? We really don't know if we want to drink or not. If there's one like slight thought about, I don't know if I'm going to be able to stop drinking forever, that's going to be really difficult. It's going to be really difficult, okay? And do we get to choose our future? Do we get to choose our future? I think we do, in a way. Not entirely. But we only can do what's in front of us. So I would much rather pray to the universe, visualize, have visualization boards, have people around me who have great visualization practices, who keep continually asking me what my goals are and how I'm going to get there, right? I'm more likely to get the future that I want if I embody that behavior. If I'm in a 1000 Days Sober community, if I'm a striver, like you are likelier to choose your own future than if you're still stuck in the Matrix, in my humble opinion. Okay. Finally, in truth, your mates will be happy for you to come along and not drink. It's you that is the most uncomfortable with this. So this is Tony saying, in truth, your mates will be happy for you to come along and drink. It's you that is the most uncomfortable with this. What I would say here is, Tony is clearly uncomfortable with this, but it's not true that he's the only one that will be uncomfortable with this. The truth is we don't know, right? So, for example, what Tony's doing here is a cognitive distortion called fortune telling. Like, my mates are going to be happy for me when I stop drinking. Nah, some of them will be and some of them won't be. And some of them will tell you the truth and some of them won't. And if you're not drinking, you will be more in tune with your energy, and you will pick up on that, and it will make you feel uncomfortable, or it will make you feel happy. Then you'll feel overwhelmed. And whether or not you want to expand or contract will come up, and we'll see what happens. I know when I stopped drinking alcohol, I had a friend of mine called Akers. And it was just me and him. He was helping me clear out my garage. And he just out of the blue just turned around. I'm humping some shit, and he just turns around and he said to me, Ching. He used to call me Ching back then, right? Ching, I taught you about something. I said, yeah. He said, straight up, your decision to stop drinking alcohol, like, you know, all credit to you. Like, I'm really proud you're doing it, and I can see that it's done good things for you. But I feel really uncomfortable around you. He said, when we come around the house now, it's not the same, right? It's not the same anymore, and I don't like it. And I was just like, oh, thanks for the feedback. Like, I actually can't remember what I said to him, but I was like, wow, thanks for giving me that feedback. So there was a friend of mine. He was just open and said, do you know what? For me, purely selfish reason, I don't like it when you drink because I lose my friend. So that is going to happen. And I think that is a pivotal part of Tony's journey here. You know, like wrapping this up is, if I was working with Tony personally, we would seriously be doing some work here on the loneliness and disconnection aspect of it. Finding out where that need for approval comes from. Working with the experts in the 1000 Day Sober team to help him to confront that and to deal with that in whatever way that the experts think that he should. And to help him and guide him to find his own power within himself. Because this guy is a leader. He's a strong man. He's funny. He's got a lot to give to the world, but he just needs to realize it within himself. And once he does, he'll be unstoppable. Unstoppable. Future 1000 Day Sobriety Coach for sure. So I hope that was helpful for you. If you have any questions on anything that I spoke about today, then leave it in the comments of wherever this video ends up, in whatever form. If you want to find out more about the work we do at 1000 Days Sober, we have the Strive Method for Addictions, the Strive Method for Relationships, both 6-month experiences. Get to www.1000dayssober.com and book a Choose Yourself call, where you will end up speaking to me or another member of the 1000 Days Sober team, where we will listen to what's going on in your life, what you want to do about it, and then we will make a decision on that call whether we think we're a right fit to work with each other to get from where you are to where you want to be, and whether the Strive Method for Addictions or relationships is the right place for you. Okay? So we also have a free as fuck Facebook page which you've just created, a private group. So if you want to get involved in that, let me know and we'll pop you in there. Stella, Tina, as always, thank you very much for tuning up and making me feel like I have an audience. I really appreciate it. I hope you found some value in this, and I'm going to call it a day and go and have something to eat. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.